You're the what?
All right, we have the Kentucky Atheist with us. How are you doing, Joe?
Doing all right. How's it going, guys?
Pretty good.
It's all good, man. Do you need
S-
an avatar, or do you got this?
Let me see here. I got it.
Okay, because I'll find a Jesus picture for you. I'm kidding.
Three wooden crosses.
Yeah, I love when you join Daniel's show. You have like 5 seconds to put an avatar because he's already browsing the icons and he's putting an icon on you. So I always move fast.
Well, I try to convert him to my religion too. Anytime he used to come on my show, I'd put a Jesus or a cross on him.
Yeah.
Oh, so you gave him that idea. Hmm.
Yeah. And then one day he left me unattended for like a minute, and I used it as a chance to call people to leave orthodoxy and come out of the paganism and come back into Christianity. And he
Yeah, I
didn't know
remember that.
about it at the time, but he found out after the fact, and he was quite ill with me.
Yeah, I remember. So you see, TKA, we have each other to fight. You know, we have some spare time for atheism, but
Well, I don't, I didn't come over here to fight with you guys. I actually came to,
debate.
originally, I was coming to address the whole request for a three versus three debate and all that and see if you guys wanted to set something up. But I don't want to do three versus three. I'll do three versus me. Um, if you want to do that or however you want to do it. But I think if you get three versus three, it's just going to be a mess, though.
To be honest, I agree. I agree. A 3-on-3 is a mess. Like,
You know.
how much time does each one get? And
Yeah,
when you make it to the point of cross talking, good luck there.
yeah. I mean, you're looking at like a 5 hour debate to try and do it that way.
Well, more what I was thinking is, say it was me, Achilles, and Joseph, we would deliberate between ourselves real quick which one wanted to take the answer on, whatever your question was posing. But if you guys think it's too much, it's too much. But I'm definitely down to schedule anything else anytime.
Well, I've got John the skeptic is coming on this Saturday, but next Saturday, if you guys want to try and do something, we can. I mean, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a debate. We can just discuss it if you want, and I can still have Robin like set it and moderate, so we don't get to talking over each other or whatever. But or if you want to organize structured debate, we can do that too. It doesn't matter.
I don't like structured, and there are people like you that I will call it being capable of carrying a conversation. So if I need to interrupt you on what you're saying, you're accepting it, and if you need to interrupt me on what I'm saying, I'm accepting it because that's how discussions go down. You know, there are,
Yeah,
and I call it. I chose my words carefully. I call it being capable. I don't think everybody is.
I agree. Some people need that structure, or they just act full.
Yeah, that's why the structured debate needs to exist because if they don't have that, they just keep talking over the other person. They won't let them speak. And yeah,
Yeah, I agree. But I mean, I don't know if I really don't know that going over objective morality is going to bring out anything new. I mean, we can if that's really what you want to talk about. But I mean,
I have.
I would kind of like to address this atheism as a religion or evolution as a religion thing, if you want to discuss that.
Here's an idea to make something funny. We give a list of subjects to Robin, and she puts them down with a number, and we pick a number, and
Okay,
whatever, and
I've
whatever.
got a well, I use EVMux too, so we could put it on the wheel app on there and spin the wheel and let it pick whatever topic we're going to talk
Right,
about.
right, right. Something like that. Well, I actually haven't. I've never browsed here to find the wheel. So I'm gonna look that up right now. It does have a wheel. I've
Yeah,
seen.
under apps and widgets, it's got a prize wheel you can use.
Okay, I think I need to bring up a pro scene in order to do that. So I'll do it backstage because it's gonna change our layout.
Yeah, we could give like I could come up with 3, 4, or 5 topics. You guys could come up with 3, 4, or 5 topics, and then we talk about it until it starts, getting off track or whatever, and then let people super chat to change the topic, and then we spin the wheel and change the topic.
I think that sounds interesting enough for a whole series, you know,
Yeah,
because I don't know, I like it a lot. I like this randomness. Let's see what the wheel brings and see how ready people are to discuss that. Instead of people, sitting down and working on it for a whole week, and then,
yeah,
I love randomness. I mean, I don't love chaos. I mean, I love that, bringing a subject random.
yeah.
Anyway,
And admittedly, there's topics that each person is going to have strengths and weaknesses in, and there's some topics of the Bible and Christianity that I feel confident having a conversation about, and some that not so much. So uh, you know whatever.
right, right. I love the idea. Hello, Mr. Prez.
Well, can you guys make it?
Man,
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
oh no, no problem. Hello, but who let this low life Steven on my channel? We know, no, just joke. Hi, Joe. Nice to hear you.
Hey, what's up,
Love
Dan?
some of the stuff you do that I've heard.
Dan, your connection is pretty good again.
Oh,
Go
well,
ahead, Joe. You were saying something.
um, yeah. Hi, Dan, and thanks. Would you guys like to come like next Saturday at 3? And I mean, between now and then, of course, we'll work out the details, but I have to schedule it to do it. That's the only way I can make sure that I'm able to do it.
Yeah, fine by me.
Okay. 3 p.m. Eastern next Saturday. Is that
I,
okay with you guys?
it is with me, but I don't know if Steven is around. I think he's AFK, so he didn't hear it. So give it a minute.
Okay.
Yeah. In other news, uh, I am going to go feed my pups real quick. Not yet. When Steven or Krista takes over, or Dan even.
You mean you guys aren't going to leave the Proverbs Guys channel open for me to just talk about whatever I want?
Okay, so let me ask you, why do you hate God? I'm kidding.
Oh, right.
Sorry, Achilles. I only stepped away for a minute because I literally remembered that in like 20 minutes I was supposed to host a debate for Doc and an atheist, and turns out the debate was canceled. So, crisis averted.
All right, so we scheduled a debate where you were gone.
Oh, wow. Okay, when?
Next Saturday, 3 p.m. Eastern, if you guys are available.
All right. Who do you want?
You can all come if you want. I mean, it's not so much a debate. I mean, we can schedule an individual like debate if you want, but I figured we would just do the thing of like we talked about a list of topics. You guys can pick a few, and I'll pick a few, and we'll talk about them until they either get stale or somebody wants to change the topic, and we'll let Robin spin the wheel, and we'll randomly talk about each topic.
Yeah, Joe, I don't think he heard the whole thing.
I'm
Steven,
in.
there is an app here on Evmax, a
Mhm.
wheel. We can add subjects to the wheel and have it spin.
Oh,
And once it spins, it's going to give us the subject, and we'll just keep going on that subject until it gets stale, as Joe said, or if a super chat wants change or something like that.
hey, that sounds good to me. I'm down.
Yeah, I think that would be a fun way to do it.
It looks like Dan keeps coming in and dropping out.
He's in California, in and out. Yeah, They're big over
Dan,
there.
unmute and say hello before you drop out again.
I already said hello. I tried to make a joke and have Joe think I thought he shouldn't be on our channel. I said the scumbag, and I used your name, but you weren't there, so it's okay.
But he's the one
Um,
kicking you out because you said it.
I haven't banned anyone
Oh.
in a long time.
and you guys aren't giving me that advice how to ban people, because I'll ban everybody, but then I'll ban myself.
You
And
couldn't
then
ban.
again,
You
'cause,
couldn't ban
I've
Claude
got a
to
little bit
save
of
your
your
life.
testimony though, and that way Achilles can go feed his pups.
Yeah, I'll
And
be
if
right back.
I fade out the
I'll be
internet,
right back, guys.
it
Yeah,
won't be
Dan,
awkward.
you may want to get by that magical window of yours, the one that helps you get signal. And Joe, if you don't mind me asking, I think I've maybe asked you this before, but was there ever a time where you were a believer?
I was a believer. In fact, I believed pretty much the same thing you guys do as far as the young earth creationist position up until I was about 25 years old.
And how old are you now?
43.
Okay. What was it that started the change?
The first thing that happened was a book I'd read called A Spiritual Solution to Every Problem. And it described the creation stories of I mean, that's not what the whole book was about, but it had a section that described the creation stories of various different religions. And when I read that, that was the first thing that clicked in my head, was like, well, obviously these all can't be true. And why should we believe any one of these? They all seem to be written by fallible humans, and it's their best attempt to explain the world around them with the tools they had at the time. And so, but when I went to college, it was really, I mean, it was really just science and education, that science, biology, geology, and physics that really changed my mind.
Well, but what about the fact that so many different religions actually reference Jesus? Like the Buddhist religion references Jesus, the Hindu religion has references for Jesus, Taoism, Muslim, they all kind of point to Jesus as one of the possible ways. But then when you get to the words of Jesus, he makes it really clear that he is the only way.
Well, I mean, I would say that Islam makes those claims too. Um, what makes Christianity's claim of that any better than Islam's claim of it?
Well, my point is that Islam points to be the way, but they also point to Jesus as being something very special. Jesus points to himself as the way, and he never points to Islam, Taoism, Hinduism, Buddhism. He always points to himself. I would just think that's noteworthy.
I don't know that not mentioning another religion doesn't means anything, but also Islam does point to Jesus as being important, but refers to him as a prophet, and nothing more.
Well, no, that's not exactly true. It is true that they report that he's a prophet, but they report that he is a prophet that was specifically prophesied about, and that he is a very special prophecy fulfilling prophet. He's
Right.
not just a regular prophet like Christians have in our Bibles.
Well, see, the problem with Abrahamic religions is they all rely on Judaism to be true for them to be true. So they kind of have to, once, whether they accept Jesus or not, is a different story. But whenever they do go accepting Jesus, then of course it was prophesied in the Bible beforehand, which then you can have a discussion about what things are or are not prophecy and the efficacy of them.
See, I don't think that the Abrahamic religions at all are propped up by Judaism, especially considering that the Hebrew faith is older than Judaism.
Okay, yeah, right. So right, these stories originated back before the tribe of Judah. Um, some of the Old Testament stuff. Not all of it, but much of it did. So I can see why you take that position, but those that belief system of the Hebrews is what eventually the tribe of Judah adopted and became Judaism. So I would say that it's kind of the same thing, just it went by a different name beforehand.
Well, it's sort of a hybrid of Judaism mixed with the Khazarite religion, the Khazites, or sometimes referred to as the Khazar people.
Hmm.
And it's more a hybrid. But like you stated, yeah, the Jewish tribe, the tribe of Judah, is one of 12 tribes of the Hebrew faith, which predates it by a lot, starting with the patriarch Abraham.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I think that that's the way it's laid out. I think that that's the way it's, and I think historically speaking, like I've had talks with Kip Davis about this specific thing, and I think that that's what you see, like the various tribes, but were doing different things and fighting amongst each other at the time, and then the tribe of Judah specifically is the one that first adopted those stories and then furthered it into what later became Judaism. Yeah, so I think that works.
Yeah. And see, I don't even think, the New Testament is beautiful and it's wonderful, and I'm so glad that we have it. But even to establish the Christian faith, I don't think you need the New Testament. I think you can get there from the Old Testament because Jesus is prophesied all through the scriptures and they were always waiting on a Messiah.
Well, I think you're right, but then I also think you if without the New Testament though, you just have Judaism rejecting that because they don't accept Jesus Christ as Messiah, or
Mm,
Jesus. It wouldn't be Christ.
a portion of the Jews rejected Messiah. A portion of the Jews also accepted Messiah when he was here, and that was the establishment of the first generation church. Basically, it was a bunch of messianics.
Well, yeah, that's what became Christianity. Messianic Judaism or Messianic Jews are a very, very small group of believers, and I understand that the size of it doesn't necessarily tell you whether it's true or not, but I don't think that. I think that what you're talking about is what later became Christianity, because they didn't originally call it that. When Jesus was supposedly here and the stories were being told, of course they weren't like, now we're Christians. It was a thing that eventually evolved over time.
Yeah, I could concede to that because personally, I think that the early church was just that exactly messianics meeting in home groups and small synagogues. And it's not till later additions, mixtures with paganism, and we see the influence of Rome that Christianity starts forming into what we know it is today. And I don't think the Christian church today looks anything like it did in the time of Jesus.
Oh, I mean, just in the United States alone, the Christian church went from something that was based more in the first three gospels, and then now today it's more focused on John and what's said in the book of John.
And see, I think a bigger issue with the modern church, not to disagree with your point, but I just see it differently. I think the problem is that the church got away from the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and they have started relying more heavily on solely the writings of Paul. And Paul's wonderful. I love Paul. But if you don't have a foundation in the Gospels and the Old Testament, you can get very confused in Paul very quickly. And I think that's the result of what we see today.
Yeah, I can agree with that somewhat. I think that I think that a lot of scholars and many churches consider Paul to be the most trustworthy account of things in the Bible. Like his writings to be authentic and real, although there are some questions about forgeries and stuff within Paul's writings also, but not all of them. Um, but yeah, I think they rely a lot on Paul as well.
You think that there's speculation of forgery in Paul's writings?
Oh, there is speculation of forgery in Paul's writings.
Where precisely?
Um,
I mean,
I
I've
would have
heard.
to look at the particular. This comes from scholarly opinion, which take it with a grain of salt as far as I'm concerned. I think scholars are great for telling you like the translation and some of the historical importance of the stories that are told, but not that necessarily what their belief is you should share it with them, right? Um, the but yeah, there's I would have to get you the references. I don't want to say off the top of my head and be wrong. But um, I do know that there are some questions about the authenticity of some of Paul's writings.
Yeah, and see, my dad was a biblical scholar, and I
Sure.
have never heard that ever. I know that it is questioned some of the authorships of particular books that they accredit to Paul, like the book of Hebrews. And then there's other books that Paul writes, but you can tell it's Paul's theology, but most likely written by Luke, because it has a lot of verbiage from Luke, which would have made sense if they were acquainted. But I've never ever heard that it was speculated any of Paul's writings were plagiarism
Forgery, not plagiarized.
or even forged.
Yeah.
Never heard that.
I'll get that for you when we get off here, and I'll send you a message or something on Facebook of where I got it from, because I don't want to, especially with other people watching, I don't want to guess at it and be wrong and then have to have that whole argument.
No, yeah, true. So deconversion, that started for you based off of one book talking about the creation narrative from all the religions?
Well, no, actually, at first, especially so that's when I started getting some questions about, what, uh, who it was written by, what it, and whether we should trust that. Now, once I started going to school and I learned some stuff about evolution specifically, um, that's whenever I didn't go trying to disprove Christianity. I was a believer. My first thing was I went and tried to find things that confirmed my faith. And then the second thing that happened is that when I wasn't really able to do that so much, I then considered, well, the Bible was written by men, and maybe they explain things incorrectly and stuff, but that doesn't mean that God doesn't exist. It doesn't mean that Jesus wasn't real. It just means that the writings are old and written in a way that maybe I'm not understanding. Uh, I tried to confirm my faith before I ever stopped believing.
Hmm. It's interesting because the same journey you took, I took, and it brought me deeper into the faith.
I,
So,
I've heard that before.
yeah, yeah. So, no, like, I believe you. You have no reason to lie to me, but it's just, it baffles me how two people from the same faith can take a similar journey and end up at totally different destinations.
I grew up in the Southern Baptist denomination and went to church. I went to youth group every week and went to church on Sundays every week, and did a lot of other extracurricular activities and stuff with the church. I very much believed it all was true. Now, whether I was a good Christian and all that stuff, I was saved and baptized and all that stuff. And I believed, and I would even tell you that at times I believed that I felt the presence of God, that that I got that feeling you get in church from it and stuff. But I think that there's natural explanations for that.
Have you ever had that same feeling that you described as the presence of God with something else? Like, have you ever had that feeling, that exact feeling? Because I know what you're talking about. Like, it's indistinguishable. You can't hide it. So, have you ever felt that over a woman or a good meal or your football team winning? Like, ever?
I mean, I would say I felt like that endorphin rush feeling from other things. I, the thing with like spirituality though is it's this intangible thing. So it makes it whenever you feel that way about that particular thing, you feel like you have made it a tangible thing, right? So I think it's kind of unique in that aspect, but yeah, I've felt endorphin rushes for other stuff.
And see, I mean, I don't think it's the same. I don't think that feeling you have of the presence of God is the same as an endorphin rush, right? Because for a long time, I was obsessed with college football. Like the Florida Gators were my second religion. I even referred to Tim Tebow as the god of college football. But
Yeah.
even in our best victories, in the biggest moment of excitement, with all the endorphins rushing, I never felt anything about football the way I did in a simple praise and worship service.
I don't think at the time as a believer I would describe them as the same, but now looking back on it, I do, I guess.
You guess?
Yeah, I mean, I don't, because I'm guessing at whether at the time I would describe it that way. Like when I believed, I would probably describe it the same way you did, as something unique that I didn't feel for anything else. But now looking back at it, I can see the similarities between that and other things I've felt passionate or had that rush feeling about. So
Huh. You ever had a prayer answered or witnessed a miracle?
um, I don't know that anyone can say that that's either of those has happened for sure.
Oh, no, I would definitely disagree. I've observed miracles and had prayers answered, and often had prayers answered in very specific ways that I posed it in such a way that the answer came about and only could be God. But you've never experienced that?
No,
Huh.
no. I mean, I've experienced praying for things, or praying about things, and then having something happen within those things. But again, I don't think that I could then say that those things could not have happened absent God. Uh,
Huh. Okay. Man, and how old were you when you got out of the church? You were around 20,
25.
25. Man. So when you started getting into school and getting into evolution, did that start you questioning elements of the Bible, like starting in Genesis? Like, okay, maybe Genesis is just allegory. Like, did you have to start making concessions to get where you're at now?
Well, it started really with the things that if I was taking a literal view of the Bible, then I guess sure, but it was more just the things that I had been taught in church that weren't necessarily laid out in the Bible. They were the implications of what the Bible says. And so I did and it's not, again, it's not just that evolution just up and changed my mind. There's many different things that over the course of this time that as I looked into these different things, then I was like, well, at least the young earth creationist thing I was taught growing up, I know for certain that those things and science can't be true. And so which one should I trust? And so I was able to accept the science and still believe, but the first thing to go was the young Earth creationist view. And then it was later that I eventually just came to terms that I don't believe this stuff is true.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why Kent Hovind is so dogmatic about defending creationism, because it really does start there. A lot of believers have walked away from the faith because of creationism, misunderstanding creationism, or not having a good answer for when people challenge your belief in creationism. And that's why I do think Kent's work is so important, because, you're a prime example, no offense,
Yeah.
of as soon as you start questioning Genesis, it's a domino effect.
Yeah. So I think that I, I think that the specifically like the young earth creationist position to where we're going to say the earth was, and let me say what I mean when I say that, like, and you put this in your opening to the channel, so I know that you agree with this definition, but the earth was created in a special creation event less than 10,000 years ago, and man was created in that event. uh, I I found problems with that, and at the time, you're right, there wasn't really an apologetics for creation stuff. That wasn't really. I mean, it did exist. The ICR was founded in what, 1972.
It was still newish, yeah.
Yeah,
Far and
but
few
it
in
wasn't
between.
mainstream. I thought
Correct.
all Christians believed the same thing I did too, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not so, but yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah, but there was just a series of things that came up, and I had to eventually get to the point to where, like, it first started with me taking the position of, well, I can't say for certain these things are true. And then it's like, well, I know some of these things cannot be true based on these other things. And at least with some of this scientific stuff, not everything, but a lot of this science, I can confirm it by going through the same methodology, by reading papers that have been reviewed by other scientists who came to the same conclusions. So the support for that, um, and the lack of support for some of the claims of young Earth creationism together is what eventually led me to that. It's not any one particular thing.
I just see it totally counter, though. Like when I read through a book of the Bible for theological reasons, I can get all of my theological answers that I'm looking for from that particular book. I don't need any assumptions. But it seems that every scientific journal and article that comes out in every mainstream view, even evolution, Darwinism, they all take assumptions. So you don't ever have all the answers. It's like you traded the religion of answers for the religion of the unknown. Do you ever feel that way?
I mean, I feel that way about things now too. I wouldn't say that I have all the answers to evolution or anything. I think there's things I still question about even that position. But I do
Like
see
what?
it as much more well supported.
What parts of evolution or Darwinism do you doubt? That's interesting.
Um, well, it's not so much that I doubt it; it's that I just don't have all the information there. And I mean that's really just a. I take responsibility for that though.
Sure.
That I just haven't studied it or haven't understood it or haven't asked people who are experts. Um, you know the questions that I should be asking.
Hmm. Yeah, for me, a big red flag for evolution, especially Darwinism, is the lack of transitional fossils. And I'm just really focusing in on the lack of transitional fossils for the human evolutionary tree. Like they're just not there. We would need thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of more intermediate fossils that we don't have. We have the older ones and we have the newer ones, but we don't have any of the ones that are like really important that connect the dots.
I think I would disagree with that. I think that there are tons of hominid fossils for various different species of humans. Now, are you talking between those species of humans and like apes, or between those species of humans?
Okay, so which species would you identify as the first human type species like us?
Oh boy. Well, here's the problem with that. So I think like I think that first of all, in cladistics, you don't outgrow your clade. So the like we are still apes. We never stopped being apes. So whenever you look at like Homo africensis, uh, that's a very I would say that's more similar to apes than it is to modern humans. But then whenever you get into the uh, uh, you get into like the Neanderthals, those are obviously closer to Homo sapiens than to apes. So all those things in between that, you see changes of how they started to walk more upright, of how they started to be less arboreal, of how they how they grew socially. I mean, those things are in the fossil record, and they may not be convincing to you as transitional fossils, but I would argue that all fossils are transitional fossils.
Okay. Phantom, you are in the house. How are you doing?
Pretty good. How are you?
What's
Hey, I
up,
woke
Phantom?
up this morning.
Well,
What do you
good.
got going on?
Oh, not much. I just thought I thought you guys were having an interesting conversation. Thought I'd drop in, and if there's anything I can add, chip in.
Yeah, awesome. Okay. We were just dissecting Joe's apostatism.
Yeah, I heard that. I thought it was pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's staying civil, so that's nice. It's a lot more productive.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't. Many atheists view, especially young Earth creationism. There's a lot of atheists that kind of view it as a joke and don't think it's worth the time to even address, and then there's others that call it irrational and say that it's a silly thing to believe. And I don't hold either of those positions. I think that whenever you include things like indoctrination and stuff, and I'm not using indoctrination as some negative word. I mean, it's a thing that happens. But I think whenever you include things like indoctrination, that young Earth creationism or creationism in general is like a rational conclusion to come to.
And see, again, I would see it different. I do believe that there's some severe indoctrination, but I think it's on your guys' side. And the reason I say that is because as a young Earth creationist, I can't tell you how frustrating it is to put on a cartoon for my son about dinosaurs, which he loves as much as I do, and hear 60 million years ago. I can't go to the store to get my son a dinosaur t shirt without a big font on the front 60 million years ago. So I would have to say that we're not the ones guilty of indoctrination.
Well, that's not indoctrination, first of all,
It
because
is, though, because it's
well,
false information.
no, that's not what indoctrination means. Indoctrination is doesn't have anything to do with it being false. It's just whenever you are taught something and you're taught that it's the truth and not to question it. Um,
Right. So when you have
and
to
the
learn it in public school as a young child, and then it's on your cartoons when you go home, and it's all plastered over your clothing, you still can't concede that that's indoctrination?
Well, you're never the main point of indoctrination is that it's not supposed to be questioned, and I don't think that that applies to those things. You can question them all you like; they are supported by this science, and if you question them, you'll be sent to look at that science that supports it. So, skepticism can't be indoctrination. I don't think. Maybe it can, but I don't think being a skeptic, because I consider myself a skeptic, not on this, but on many, many things. So I don't think that you can be a skeptic and be indoctrinated at the same time. But again, I guess I wouldn't want to speak in absolutes about it either, though.
I would say one other difference is the openness to revision, and I know Stephen will have his contention with that point, but the fact that the theory is open to revision, it keeps it from being indoctrination.
Yeah.
But that's kind of part of my problem. So, Phantom, you weren't far off. So, you're saying that the benefit of your side is that you guys can adapt to new information, but I see that as a negative side because you're teaching these children from a very young age these principles of evolution and teaching them that these are resolute facts that are unchangeable, except they change like every 5 or 10 years. I can't tell you how many times the science textbooks have been updated.
I mean, they might do that just to be simplified for for younger children, but no, like I would say at least by the college level, nobody who's being a scientist is going to say this is an absolute fact. They're going to say this is the best we know right now, and if new data comes in, we might change this position.
But
I want
see,
to address that too.
but I take issue with that, and then I'll let you go, Joe, because
Okay.
I don't think my tax dollars should go to promote theories and hypotheses that even the scientists acknowledge will probably change in a few years. That sounds like a waste of money when my kids could be learning math in real science.
Well, that is
So,
real science. Sorry, Joe. You said you wanted something to say. Go ahead.
so I'm going to try not to respond to what you just said, but the I think that the scientific theory is the gold standard in science, and um, that just means that the thing you are talking about has been examined, corroborated, and is supported by well substantiated facts. So I would disagree that with the idea that you're putting to theory, but also science doesn't just turn around and say, "Well, we're wrong about that thing. Here's a whole new thing." Instead, it refines the ideas, and I think what Phantom was pointing to is the absence of the ability to do that within religious belief. You have a book, you have doctrine and dogma that tells you exactly what it is, and to say it's anything different can be considered heresy and blasphemy and everything else. So
And
the
has.
idea that one more sentence and I'll be done.
Sorry.
But the idea that science refining its ideas and giving a better picture of it as technology and information increases, I don't think is a negative thing.
I mean, we did just add like 7 billion years onto the time frame, though, right? Like just recently.
Not that I know of, but I didn't keep
Nah,
up with
No, because it
astrophysics.
went from 7 billion to now I think the consensus is 14 billion.
It's
the
been 13 point whatever billion for a
13.8.
yeah. Well, they keep refining that number, but it's still been 13 something billion for a very long time.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I don't know, guys. It just, your side does not have enough answers. It changes too frequently. I know my scripture is never going to change. So the narrative that we present today in Young Earth Creationism for the start of life as we know it has been the same for 6,000 plus years of recorded history. Your guys' changes so often, it's not stable.
Do you know
Right.
the difference between an answer and a claim?
Sure.
So I think that the Bible and the Christian religion and other religions too, I think they make a lot of claims about the workings of the world and stuff, but first of all, they're not science books. Whenever we talk about answers to things in science, like Phantom said, first of all, we're not dealing in absolutes. We're talking about what's more supported. What is the most supported hypothesis here? And I think that the without support, that's when you're just making a claim, and I think that's the Bible makes a lot of claims that it doesn't support, whereas the claims in science are answers because they are supported with evidence and facts.
So Stephen, you said you're looking for stability in your worldview, right?
No, I have the stability. I'm just saying that the other
But
side is so unstable, it's not even an option.
okay, but like you realize there are religions that are older than yours that have stayed stable as well, right?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Um.
Now,
So
when you
why?
because when you evaluate their own text against them, they always crumble. But you guys have not been able to do that with the Christian Bible in what, 1,000 years now?
I disagree completely.
I would too, but
Well, but see,
There
you
are
can't
false things in
disagree.
the Christian Bible.
There's not, though. Anything you could present to me as false, I could easily explain to you. And if you
well,
guys were able to poke holes in the Christian Bible in that amount of time, Achilles and I would not be up here today as Christians.
that's the difference. Like you can anybody can come up with an explanation for discrepancies. Like that's not a unique thing to you. You say the Hindu Bible falls apart, but you know what? I would bet that the Hindus, the ones who actually believe it and have studied it, have explanations for those where it crumbles that you've found.
I mean, I guess that's a valid point. Sure, I'll accept that.
So
But I will say there's an interesting point, though. Any atheist I've ever seen online doing, I don't want to say apologetics, but defending the position of evolution and science versus the Bible, they always go after Christians. I've never seen atheists go on a Hindu channel. I've never seen you guys go on a Buddhist channel. I've never seen you go on a Muslim channel.
I've
You
debated Muslims.
always, you're maybe the exception to the rule. But what about Taoism and Hinduism and Buddhism? You guys never go attack those religions. It's always the Christian faith, because in your hearts, you know that the Christian faith is at the top of the pyramid, and that's the notch you have to take down to replace it.
No.
No, it's not really that.
Then
I
why
mean,
aren't you guys on a Hindu channel tonight?
Because I
speak
grew up in
English.
Young Earth creationism.
Well, that
Hindus
and-
speak English too. That's kind of racist.
Well, I'm not saying they don't, but I don't. That you would agree that there's more people who speak Christians who speak English than Hindus, right?
I don't even know if I could say that. Probably. I'd say probably yes. Sure.
Okay. And also, like, I don't encounter Hindus very often. I can't encounter Christians. So, and I grew up in Christianity. So, like, I wouldn't want to go up against a Hindu because I don't really know their faith very well. I've never studied it. I grew up in Christianity, so I do know Christianity.
Yeah, but I would have to counter because, to be honest, speaking with both of you guys and hearing about the inconsistencies you both believe exist, I don't think either one of you know Christianity very well. I think you may know some of our dogmas like creationism, but I don't think either one of you know Christianity.
I bet you that I could tell you those explanations. I bet you I know those explanations, if not as well, almost as well as you do. But I don't believe those explanations. I don't think they hold water just because I know them.
I mean, I welcome any discrepancy you guys can think of at the top of your head, any immoral objection. I welcome it.
I mean, to me, it was never about discrepancies anyway. That's not why I deconverted, but that's neither here nor there.
So, have you ever seen the website? It's I think the actual name of the website is lyingforjesus.org. But
I have not.
The thing that this has is it has an interactive list of Bible contradictions, and you can click on the contradiction, and then it'll show you the two verses that contradict each other, and then gives you a breakdown of how they contradict each other. I don't think that every contradiction listed there is valid. I think there are a lot of valid contradictions listed there, but just for example, there is you can make claims of things being true, like the Exodus, for example. There's no record of there ever being 2 million Jewish slaves in Egypt. There's no
We
record.
have found the location. What are you talking about?
No, that's not accepted by scholars, archaeologists,
not only have
or
we found
anyone other than believers.
Not only have we found the pillars of Solomon that he erected as the markers, we found the fused sand on the beach where we would expect to find it with the pillar of fire.
No, it was in the wrong place.
Over. It was not in the wrong place.
Yes, it was. They went out of the way to find it.
No, sir. And it's also the only place along the entire beach that could hold 2 million Hebrew Israelites.
So here's the problem with those claims, okay? The thing of it is that whenever you go ahead and say, okay, well, 2 million Jews left out of there, we know that happened, so let's figure out how it worked. And that's kind of the wrong approach, because there's no evidence of that thing happening, but there is a lot of post hoc rationalization. And that site on the beach that you're talking about, it was some 30 miles away from where the maps that the church used said it was.
Oh, no, you're talking about originally the speculated location, but that location was disproven long before the likes of Ron Wyatt ever came onto the scene. So we were already looking for the actual crossing site, and we have found it. They've even found chariot wheels at the bottom of this precise location where they happen to have also found the fused sand and also found on either side of the crossing the pillars erected by Solomon. So, I mean, you can discard that evidence, but at this point, you're like not wanting to believe.
No, it's not that
I'm purposely closing yourself off from being open.
It's not that I'm discarding your evidence. It's that I don't see your evidence as sufficient to make the claim that you're making. is my issue with it. It's
What
not that
else would you need from the Red Sea crossing site to solidify it? Do you need like a sign in the ground that says Moses was here plus 2 million? Like, is that what you're looking for?
some historical record of it outside of the Bible would first be good. But also the again, it's finding an area that fits your narrative somewhat, rather than actually evidence that thing happened there. If there were 2 million people moving across this route, we would find not only graves and bodies and all kinds of things left behind. I mean, there would be a huge trail everywhere they went. That many people is going to leave signs that's going to persist through history.
And you think would last 3,000 years?
Not just that. Whoever went looking.
Oh, yeah, valid point. Also, Achilles, who went searching for it.
Only Ron Wyatt did. And
That's not true.
Well, the original archaeologists were using the Bible as their guideline. Like they were saying, hey, this Bible says this happened at this place. Let's go check it out. And when they dug it up, the place up, they couldn't find anything. And they're like, well, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, one problem with that is the names of locations. For instance, for the longest time, they've tried to put the Exodus in with Pharaoh Ramses, and that is an incorrect time frame. And the reason they get that is because one of the cities in the Bible is referred to in the story as the city of Ramses. And that's because much further on, when the Bible's being scribed down, it was at that point known as the city of Ramses, but it was not at the time of Moses or Moshe in the Hebrew. So that causes confusion.
Does the Bible not reference Ramses directly by name?
I don't think. No,
No,
I
it
think
does
it's
not.
just always called Pharaoh.
Okay.
It mentions a city of Ramses, which is why atheists and Egyptologists are always trying to put the Exodus in the dynasty of Ramses, but that's incorrect. He most likely was during the time of Thutmose the third or second.
Yeah. So why do the Egyptians have no record of having those Hebrew slaves?
Well, they do have records of Semonite people, and they even have records of Semonite people in the land of Goshen, which is exactly where the Bible refers to it.
Just let's correct this. It's not Semonite, it's Semite. Got you.
Does that help you sleep at night, Phantom?
Well, I just don't want to be thinking people are thinking you're equating them with bodily fluids.
No, far from it. And as someone who's half Hebrew, I don't care if someone's offended by it personally.
Okay.
And weren't you accusing Hindus of not speaking English earlier?
Yeah, Semite's an English word.
Gotcha. Okay.
So also about these other religions that you mentioned earlier, like I spend time on this. It's not just my experience with it. It's also that the I am, like I said, I am a skeptic. So with all these other religions, I have the exact same questions that I have for you. Is number one, why do you believe this is true, and why do you think I should believe it is true? And then whenever we talk about sources, then I'm going to say, why should we believe that's true? I mean, I take that skeptical view to all things, not just Christianity.
I can respond to this.
Go ahead.
First off, to say, unless there's something on your mind, Philip.
No, go ahead.
First off, much appreciated. If I can hear my voice. There's an echo. Right, fix it.
I think Joe's echoing you somehow.
Yeah. First off, much appreciated that you are using the same logic on other religions too. But personally, the way I arrived to Christianity is because there was a prophecy in it, which was saying that if I accept that Jesus was raised from the dead, and I end up confessing it, it doesn't say end up. If I confess it with my mouth, then I will be saved, which is a term that a lot of people don't understand, and they're not just atheists. There are people in church that they don't understand the term saved. It means to be reborn. And to understand what that is, you need to understand the discussion between Jesus and Nicodemus. What's funny about this is that I had never opened the Bible at all. But at some point in my life, some things happened, and I ended up asking myself whether the possibility, which is completely out of my spectrum, like I don't even take it for reality at all. What if it was reality? What if it's true? I wasn't back there 2,000 years ago. Is there any chance that this could have happened? So when it started getting rooted in my heart that there is a chance that it did, it was a very coincidental time that I ended up fighting about this on a public forum. So I confessed with my mouth what I was beginning to believe. I'm trying to put it as plain as it was without complicating it further. So then I started getting transformed. And at some point, that verse, somebody showed it to me. And I started realizing that that prophecy came true with me. That was just the beginning of my journey. And then one transformation kept coming after the next. So I didn't arrive to the Bible by believing all its claims. I arrived to it by personally accepting the big claim that it makes. And it promises that if you do and you examine it honestly in your heart, things will start changing once you confess what you are beginning to believe. And it happened. So then I turned around and I picked up a Bible and I opened it up and I said, wait a minute, this came true. So what else might have happened? And the person you have met these years that you've met me, both of you guys, he didn't exist in 2016 at all. I spent 30 years of my life having no idea about what the Bible says.
Well, that's called post hoc rationalization, though. You
It is,
you you had things that happened in your life, and then whenever you compared those things to in the Bible, the things that had already happened, you felt that that explained those things. Absent the Bible, though, nobody would believe in Jesus or any of that stuff. That's
it would have been the case if it wasn't for the evidence of a complete transformation of a self. Now,
sure.
I cannot present that evidence to you because you're not within me, right?
Sure.
But what I can show you is if you go to my channel, which is Achilles 7, you will see that there comes a moment in 2016 where the channel completely changes. Completely. It kept uploading riding videos, racing videos, and then all of a sudden it just completely transforms and starts talking about God. Hello, brother Daniel. So
Hey,
Hey, Daniel.
so then I got to know John 3:16, and I was like, wait a minute. If God exists, he actually said that if I do what I just did, this is what would happen, and it did. So I did not arrive. I understand your new approach to my response, but your previous approach was that somehow we believed all the claims of the Bible first, like we believed in an Adam and Eve first, and that's why we're here discussing it. That's not how it started. So I'm addressing that approach
Right on.
for now.
So, Achilles, about your story, do you think that kind of transformative experience, so like that, I don't know, aha moment, do you think that's unique to Christianity, or can that happen for other reasons besides just Christianity?
Yeah, it is unique.
Okay.
And it doesn't relate to anything because you called it aha moment. An aha moment relates to you. You had a realization and you changed because of the realization. I'm talking about a complete death of anything I cared for, anything I cared for. And then immediately waking up in a bit of a process. It was months, but I started only caring to preach what happened to me, to tell the world about it, like I was in love. Like when you are in love, you want to go and shout it out from the top of the mountain. And the more I did that, the more I was confessing the truth and the more I was reading. So then it becomes a whole process. So that's how the process started from me. Nobody got me into it, right? No mother, no book, no preacher, nobody. It was an inside transformation. And Daniel is in the house and he had the same transformation. And we watched it. It was live. He was about to die on a stream on YouTube, and he came back a completely transformed person. And I'll pass the mic to him. Hello, brother.
Oh, hi. Well, yeah, well,
Nice haircut.
yeah, for me, I was a deep alcoholic and occultist, and I tried a lot of other ways to give up alcohol. None of them would work. And then a friend told me about the inexhaustible cup icon, which has Jesus Christ at the chalice with his mother behind him. And I was afraid to ask Jesus for anything because I was such a sinner and I told lies about him. So I asked his mother to pray for me to her son. And yeah, God cured me of alcoholism. It was pretty amazing. But yeah, how's it going, everybody?
It's going pretty well for me.
Got you in the deep immediately, Daniel.
Yeah.
Nice haircut, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it was about time I lopped that off, I guess. A lot of people said I didn't look too good on me, but yeah.
Yeah.
Have you made it?
Can I respond to both of those?
One of the things, yes, well, 1 second. One of the things I lost is caring for what just Daniel just said, what people would think about, let's say, my hair. I no longer care about what people think of me at all. Like I used to. Now I don't. So go ahead, Joe.
So I'm not trying to discount your personal experience with these things, but uh, as some kind of vehicle to then turn around and claim that the things of the Bible are true is very much a non sequitur. Um, I mean, perfectly fine that you believe it, and congratulations for getting off alcohol. I've been in recovery from heroin use for over 10 years now, so I understand addiction and how awful that is. But I just don't know that those speak to the truth of the claims. I get that they explain why you feel that way, but that's where it stops.
I get that. So you can take from our discussion here that you have two people witnessing about this, that it was not from themselves that it happened. It came from outside. So there is an outside that we're trying to get you guys to examine.
You haven't
witnesses.
provided that though.
I'm sorry.
You've only given a reason that you believe it, not that you haven't given anything that says that it was anything other than yourself. In fact, what you've said points more to it was your personal feelings on it rather than anything else.
I don't know if you are hearing me or if I'm the one that didn't express it right, and I don't want to monopolize the airtime here. But the whole thing started from a seed of thought, and I started accepting it within me. And then because some things were happening on a public forum concerning the racing industry, I was a racer, and you know that we discussed it the other day. What happened was, and here this Daniel, I'm not sure I've ever told you that. I was one of the racers in Greece that I was going abroad to the hardest enduro events, and I've broken many bones. And I had picked up fame because whatever I did, I was picking up a camera, and I was then coming back with pages describing the experience, the problems. My intention was to teach the next generation and not just, do it for myself, but do it for the next generations. So I picked up a fan base. And at some point in 2015, in order to continue doing what I was doing, instead of giving me, I had to renew my license, my racing license, and they gave me an RFID card for a license. So I made a public statement, which was that I am an Orthodox Christian, and you do not give an Orthodox Christian RFID cards to continue their dreams, because I quit racing today. And I quit racing because of this. I had no idea that what I was doing there was confessing with my mouth, becoming a witness for the gospel. I didn't know that. So I go to bed getting all pissed off about the racing industry. I wake up the next day and I have 10 atheist racers talking about how God isn't real. So I started apologetics without even knowing that I'm doing this, without even knowing that the field existed. So I started giving them like questions like, okay, then how did that happen? We went into the Big Bang. So this went for 50 pages, and there were thousands of Greeks that were following that discussion. That process gave me a new heart, completely transformed me. And then I read the Bible that says, if you accept that Jesus Christ was raised from the dead and you confess it with your mouth, you will be saved. So it's not a non sequitur. I mean, that's what happened. I got completely transformed because the Bible verse came true. It was a prophecy, and it's a prophecy about everyone. So, you see, I'm talking too much. I'm sorry. I'm just explaining that it's not what you called it. And so I had to give you more info.
Sure.
I'm gonna say one thing, and I got to step out because I got to put my kid to bed for school tomorrow. But first of all, correlation is not causation, and what you've done there is you've taken your own personal experiences, and then whenever you found something that gave you an explanation for those experiences, then you've correlated with those things, and then the non sequitur is then suggesting that the rest of it is true because of that thing. That's what I'm pointing to as the non sequitur. But you've correlated yourself with it and then decided that it's true based on that, and that very much is personal experience and has nothing to do with anything external other than you correlated your personal feelings with those of the Bible.
Okay, but every salvation is a personal experience to the person getting saved.
Sure.
So this could never be good enough of proof for you.
Well, you're not describing that though either. You're describing prior to being saved that you felt a certain way, and then whenever you looked at the Bible, it confirmed the way that you felt. So it must have been true as to why you felt that way. And then you've lumped the other things in as saying those things are true too because it explained that. When that's where I called it a non sequitur.
But Joe, sorry. Earlier when we were talking, you mentioned that you had one of those Holy Spirit moments or several while you were still in the church, and that you could feel it was God. And then you said you were not able to confirm if you had ever had a dopamine hit like that ever again afterwards. You just weren't sure.
Well, I've had that rush, but I couldn't say that it was exactly the same experience because you're talking about different things. And by the way, religious experience, as far as the body is physically concerned, is it is essentially the same thing as using drugs or any other dopamine hit. When measured physically, it's the same. Now, if you say there's something other than the physical part, then of course I have no way to assess that other than I don't believe that that's true.
Yeah, I don't think it's the same level of dopamine hit because I was a huge drug addict. I've dampered in meth, heroin. I snorted as many pain pills up my nose as I could find, and I was always chasing that hit that I used to get when I was active in church. It's not the same hit. It's the absence of that Holy Spirit connection.
Well, that's why I said that I couldn't necessarily say it was exactly the same, because while it does feel different on a physical level, it is the same. Now, whether it feels the same to you or not is a different question altogether, and then we get into personal experience again.
Well, if it is the same, why wouldn't it feel the same? Like if you slap me and then slap Achilles, it's going to hurt both of us
Well,
equally.
so it depends on what is priming that feeling is why it's not the same. They've done a number of studies both on a large scale through sociology and individual scales on psychology, where they have compared these two things and looked at the brain as it experiences these things. And on a physical level, it's the same thing, but it's what prompts that. And even with the morality question, they've done a number of studies through the morality lab at Boston College, where they depending on what kind of thing they primed the individual with, they could get different answers about their moral standing, whether they objectified morality or seen it as subjective, or relative plurality seems to be the main finding. But yeah, so but as far as on like a physical level, measurements, what they can measure, they are the same.
So with Dan's comment here, why is what I've experienced the exact same experience that Chinese are having and Buddhists are having, and they are becoming then Christian, and then they're reading their Bible because they weren't reading it before.
Does that speak to the truth of any of the claims of Christianity?
The other claims, not only we can discuss them later, because you are questioning the premise that brought me to it. You know, the claims are come next, and there are
Right.
Christians
No,
and
I understand that.
Christians. Yeah, and there are Christians and Christians that they don't see the world the way, for example, I do,
But
a 6-day creation, right?
we can't keep the conversation about whether it's true or not within your own personal experience, though, because that tells us nothing. So that's why I keep deferring to does it speak to the truth of those claims, because I can't assess your personal experience other than,
I agree. I agree.
yeah. So
That's why I brought in that this experience is getting experienced by other civilizations, even Muslims, and they're becoming Christian.
why do you think you as a non-believer had that experience, but me, who was raised as a believer for 25 years, didn't have that experience?
I actually was raised in an Orthodox country, so it is kind of hard to not see a God.
Well,
Yeah.
well, hold
And
on a
then
second, Achilles.
and then the country here has this Orthodox church, which, all right, go ahead, Pablo. So I was never an atheist. I always felt there was a God,
Sure.
but yeah, go ahead, Pablo.
Well, because earlier you said you didn't know anything about the Bible.
That is a different. There is a difference here. I was never
Okay,
an atheist, but I had never opened the Bible. Yes,
okay, but you had been in a society a culture that has you did know some things about the Bible from just being in that steeped in that culture, right?
um, which I didn't accept, to be honest.
Okay. I'm not
I
I'm not
right.
saying you were aware of the concepts. Some of the concepts is what I'm saying. But
Yeah,
you weren't.
but even back then, for me, it looked like Christianity was created by man
Mhm.
instead of the other way around. So the Orthodox priests are such a bad example, that they turn people atheist. They're like, if you are the people of God, then I'd rather be of Satan. You know. So I was looking away
Good thing
from.
Daniel's not here.
He dropped out. His
Yeah.
screen froze, and I don't know what happened. Hello,
Yeah.
Robin. Oh, you
Um
said good thing he's not here.
yeah,
Yeah, okay.
because
Yeah,
you're talking about the Orthodox being
yeah. Yeah, but for example, we started this stream today, and we showed an Orthodox priest in Russia that has the foot of a dead saint, the actual foot, and he's dipping it in water, which is a very disgusting sin. And then people rush to pick up from that water and call it holy. I call it contaminated. I don't call that holy water. So as a child seeing things like that, you're like, yeah, I don't want to be part of that. And that didn't change. After getting saved, I'm still bringing up the issues that Orthodoxy has. And I think it's convincing other children like I was that it's a religion made by men, which is a completely false.
Sure.
So I'm still against them. So I did have an understanding of what they're saying about the Bible, but I had never opened it.
Okay.
I do have to say, we are at the 2-hour mark on the dot, just 2 minutes over, actually, to be precise. And I promised my wife a 2-hour limit tonight. So we have two choices, Achilles. We can either end this as a group thing and say our farewells, or if you're wanting to continue engaging, I will not pull a Steven and just leave you, but I do have to go.
Let's let Robin say hi and say what she wants about what we were discussing, and yes, we're gonna end it as a group.
Hello. Yeah, I didn't know y'all was getting ready to close up. I didn't even know this was going on. I've been
Hi, Robin.
asleep. Hey. And I can't tell what that avatar is. Is that the same avatar as Steven's?
Whose?
Mine.
No, it's your dialysis, huh?
Not dilated.
Dilated, got you. Okay. No, but it's a tree. It's a tree of life and death behind someone pondering.
Okay. I don't know why that came up there. I don't know. But okay, well I didn't know y'all was getting close. I'm glad y'all was having this good conversation.
It's the dialysis from the Seminites, right, Phantom?
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, I went to the eye doctor today, and I got not very good news. But I'm not seeing very good today because they did a bunch of testing on my eyes and stuff.
Oh, I hate that, Robin. I'm so sorry.
Well, I have macular, and it causes bleeding in the back of the eye, and the left eye had been doing pretty good for a couple of years, but it started bleeding again. So I've got to get shots in it again.
Oh man. Oh, Robin, I'm so sorry. I'm definitely going to pray for you, and you also are in our thoughts.
Well, thank you. But
Amen.
Y'all better get busy doing whatever y'all need to do. And
yeah. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Yeah, anytime, Phantom. And
guys,
our thing with Joe is Saturday?
Next Saturday, not this one coming up.
Okay, got you.
Yep. What's happening next Saturday?
I'll get with you on Facebook and send you a message, and we can work out all the details.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Steven, you got permission to leave. I'll stick around with our friends just for the sake of Robin that just joined, so we don't end it yet.
Well, I'm leaving right now too, anyway. So.
Okay, he didn't even allow me to complete the sentence. Like a child, when you tell him you have permission to leave, boom, out.
Well, how'd y'all?